Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to United Daily Live, and it's a special United Daily Live today as well, as we will get, obviously, the draw from the FA Cup coming through live while we are here on air. So make sure you're keeping it locked for that. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen, you obviously have those teams that are in the FA Cup semi-final draw. They are Manchester United, who beat Norwich, Arsenal, who needed a late goal to beat Sheffield United away, Chelsea, who beat Leicester City 1-0 today, and Newcastle or Manchester City as well, although it's looking like City will be going through as that game heads into half-time, with City leading 1-0 after a penalty from Kevin De Bruyne. So it looks like Manchester City will be joining United, Chelsea and Arsenal in the next round of the FA Cup, but that isn't confirmed yet. The draw is at half-time in that game, and there's still a minute remaining of that game, so we'll get the draw coming through as and when we get that. But we're also here to bring you the latest Manchester United news. Obviously, United beat Norwich, and we're going to appear in our record 30th FA Cup semi-final. That is a record. Jack Grealish has also continued to be linked with a move to Manchester United as well in the last couple of days, as well as loads of quotes coming in from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer following the game against Norwich that we had yesterday. So we'll have all of that coming up in United Daily Live, as well as getting your comments in as well. And the games are coming thick and fast. Obviously, not only are we looking forward to an FA Cup semi-final here on McKola TV and with Manchester United, and potentially, you know, a fantastic four in terms of the big four teams being in that FA Cup semi-final. But we're also looking forward to the Premier League running. United are 14 games unbeaten at this moment in time. 10 wins, 4 draws. I believe it is. I might have one out on that either way. But I believe it's 10 wins, 4 draws if I remember correctly. And United are going into this game against Brighton with confidence. They're going into this game with a lot of confidence, but it's a quick turnover. Now, we made a lot of changes in that game against Norwich. We made 8 changes in that game, and I'd expect there to be around 8-9 changes for the game when we do play against Brighton away from home in the Premier League on Tuesday. Remember, we'll have coverage on this channel of all that stuff. We'll have a preview coming for you and everything else coming on your way this week, so make sure you're keeping it locked. I know the previews normally come 2 days before a game, but we'll get that up for you tomorrow here on McKola TV, so keep it locked for that. As I said, it's now half time in the Newcastle game, so we'll get the draw coming through very soon. Who do you want? The semis are looking tasty. At the moment, you got City beating Newcastle 1-0 half time. Going to take a big effort from Newcastle to get back into the game on that one. But Manchester United are in there. Arsenal are in there. And Chelsea are in there. Now, obviously, Chelsea were fighting with them for a top 4 spot, and Leicester City, who got knocked out by Chelsea today. And Arsenal, look, you know, they're not involved really in the top 4 spot. They may be able to sniff a Europa League spot. Who knows if Manchester City get banned from Champions League competition. But if that happens, like, regardless of whether that happens or not, Arsenal are going to be a tricky team in the cup. So it's going to be a tricky tie whatever way. But in the same token, you know, we've got a good record against Chelsea. We've got a good record against City. We have a mixed record under Ole against Arsenal, but we'd be going into that game quietly confident that we can get a result. When you look at their performances, you know, they've been scraping through in games recently, Arsenal. I know United didn't get through, fantastically well against Norwich, but we have looked better than Arsenal in recent weeks and months as well. When you take us back to before the coronavirus break. So, you know, the semis there. Who do you want? Like, out of those there, you're probably thinking Arsenal or Chelsea. Save City potentially for a final. I'd probably take Arsenal. I know we've got a great record against Chelsea, great record against City this year, but I feel Arsenal are the ones that they could still beat us. I'm not saying that we'd roll them over, but they're the ones I'd be more confident going into that game. We've got a great record against Chelsea though. Ole knows what he's doing against Frank Lampard, and we'd be looking to stretch that again. But the thing that I hate with those games is, like, you know, Chelsea know we've got that record against them, and you almost feel like, all right, Chelsea wins on its way now. And that's the kind of fear you have going into that one. So, you know, we're waiting for this draw at the minute. At the moment, they're looking at the penalty kick that was given for Manchester City. So, yeah, it's a big last round. Now get hitting that like button, guys. Get commenting, get sharing. I can see loads of you guys in the house as well. We're on 108 or 109 members at the moment. Make sure you're hitting that join button if you can. P Savage is saying he wants to avoid City. They will give it everything after losing the title. While Chandrajit says he wants City. Baffler Sun says Arsenal. A Manchester derby and a London derby, says Tang. P Savage Anshesh agrees with P Savage and saying that they want to avoid City. A London derby and a Manchester derby for the semis, or you could have London against Manchester in both sides of the semis as well, which would be interesting. Would you get an all London final? Would you get an all Manchester final? Or would you get a mixed final again, the same as the semis? So we're not long to finding out what's going on in terms of that. But, you know, let us know what you're thinking in terms of who you want in the draw. Crazy Vape Simon is saying he wants City in the final. We're not in the final yet. Get to the semi-finals and you're hoping, you know, you're always looking for an easier tie. There isn't really one there this time around, which is again, you know, you got to. I like that though as well, because United, I feel more, you know, we're going to be switched on. We're not going to make as many changes to the Premier League team. We'll go in with a strong team. We'll be looking to take it to them. So I'd be more confident coming up against a bigger team that we'd go for it and we'd go with the right players. If you come up against a Newcastle or a Sheffield United, if they went through, or a Leicester City, although Leicester City are still one of those sides that, you know, they're a Champions League side potentially, although they're dropping off at the minute, then you'd think, you know, what if we rest a few players, we take our eyes off the ball? We could have very easily went out against Norwich City. Unfortunately, we didn't. So whilst we're waiting for that draw, let us know what you want. But I'm also going to get some quotes from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming on the back of everything else. Now, thank you very much to Rashid Hassan for his super chat. He's just literally said one. I don't know if you wanted to put something else through on that super chat. But if you did, Rashid, then just comment it through as a normal comment and I'll read your comment out shortly. But thank you very much for your super chat. Get your super chats in. Becoming a member of Adam McKola TV as well for exclusive content and all that good stuff. And do me a favour, hit that damn like button. We got almost 600 people watching now. Can we get 300 likes on this video? Get hitting that like button. So we're going to go through some news while we're waiting for this draw. Let's do that. Have we done it on this day today? We did it on this day earlier on the Aftermath Live, didn't we? Now, Solskjaer's been talking about Odion Ighalo, who obviously got a goal yesterday, continuing his fantastic run for Manchester United. And Solskjaer said on Odion Ighalo's importance, he's very important. I think Odion knows how much we value him in and around the dressing room and, of course, on the pitch. He's a goal scorer, a poacher, strong, and we can play the ball into him. Now, it was his first start in a while for Manchester United against Norwich, and he came in and he looked pretty good. You know what I mean? It was great to see him come in and look sharp. He obviously had quiet spells in the game, but those things that he did were very effective. The chance when he scored the goal, coming down in the air, the goalkeeper potentially coming to him, defenders potentially coming from behind him. He had a lot to do, even though the goal looked very simple. Now, if he misses that, you're saying, what the hell are you doing? But he still had a lot to do, and he did it very well. So that was great to see from Odion Ighalo in front of goal, taking his chance. You know, he hadn't had much to do up until then, and then when the chance came, he made sure he took it, and that was fantastic to see from him in that. But of course, as well, you look at the performance of other players that were coming in. Martial, you know, he looked good when he come off the bench, scored a hat-trick the other day. Now, Rashford isn't performing at the moment, but it's great to see, look, we got Odion Ighalo, Martial performing, while maybe Rashford's having a little bit of a downturn or trying to get back to full fitness and full sharpness, having come back from an injury. So, you know, it's great to see and have that depth, and it's clear that Odion Ighalo has a massive importance to Manchester United. Solskjaer also commented on Anthony Martial's performance, and he looks like that hat-trick as you know, really put a smile on his face. He's really playing positive football at the minute, and it's great to see from Anthony Martial. And Solskjaer said, I thought Anthony came on and did really well. He made runs down the channel. He had some great sprints, some turn. Every turn was direct and positive, and he was involved in the goal as well, although not, you know, clearly involved in the goal. It was a little bit scrappy, and it's not a clear assist for him, although he was trying to claim it on social media. It was a fantastic, bit of energy that he was showing in there. He made the defenders rush in that box, and he kind of created this frantic energy in there, along with Odion Ighalo. I mentioned in my review, and I don't know if a few of you probably thought Adam's talking a little bit mad here, and it's important to see that, take it into the context of what I'm saying. But at the end of that game, seeing all those strikers on the field, it felt like watching a Fergie team. It's been a long time since we've just really gone for something, and we continuously do that under Ollie. You look at his substitutions in the game against Tottenham, and although we drew that game 1-1, he really did turn the screw and go for it. Now we're just seeing the goals back from the other FA Cup quarter-finals as we see Odion Ighalo taking his goal again. And I was really fearful of us going 2 penalties and coming up against Tim Krul. The goal from Todd Cantwell, now I look back on it, I don't know whether Romero should have saved it. It kind of swerves away from him. Now the goal angle from behind the goal looks like he should have saved it, but from in front of the goal it looks like it was just a fantastic effort. Harry Maguire's goal, when he had that headed opportunity, just before he scored his goal, you were thinking it's not going to be our day. Tim Krul's looking like he's on form. He's going to manage to get himself into a penalty shootout, and then it's us against him, and you never know what happens. But fortunately we didn't need that, and Harry Maguire stepped up with the captain's goal. Arsenal beat Sheffield United. We're just seeing that now. They had a penalty which got their first goal, Nicolas Pepe scoring that, and then McGoldrick got Sheffield United back into the game late on. It looked like it was going to extra times, potentially penalties, but Caballas got a late goal. It was a massive mistake from Dean Henderson, and that's why I want to talk about this. A lot of people would have seen that and thought it's not a huge mistake, you're being a little bit harsh on him there. It was great play by Caballas, but actually, if you do that for Manchester United, that's getting put under the microscope, and that's what the difference is between playing for Sheffield United and Man United. I'm just watching this goal again. Caballas steps across, he's quite wide out. Dean Henderson comes rushing out, he's spreading his body, but there's still a massive gap in the side to him, and it's an easy finish for Caballas there to give Arsenal the win. It come in the 91st minute. I think there was about 4 minutes left on after that. After you've just got into the game, that's a mad lapse of concentration from your goalkeeper. And for all those people that have been saying, rushing back into the team, I think we just got to be careful. He's still got massive potential. He's still a massive talent, and he's still going to be, hopefully, Manchester United's number one in the foreseeable future. But let's not rush him, because the moment he comes to Manchester United is the moment the pressure gets really on. Now we've just seen Chelsea's goal against Leicester City to get them through, and we're edging closer to that draw now. They really are dragging it on a little bit, although they've only got to draw out 4 balls, I suppose, so it's not going to take them that long, but we're getting closer to that draw now, and just before we get that draw, as Gary Lineker continues to talk, the quotes from Borussia Dortmund CEO Hans-Joachim Watzke. He said recently, there will not be a cent Corona discount. We have cleared ideas. If he wants to leave and a club meets the conditions, we will discuss this if that happens. I think he's a little bit of a poker face when you look at some of the deals that they've been unable to complete, or the rumours that are surrounding them at the moment. It looks like they are a club that are going to be looking to cash in on some of their talent, and I think that will be Jadon Sancho as well. We have 700 people watching right now. Get hitting that like button, get commenting, get sharing, get subscribing on Adam McKola TV. Get your super chats in if you fancy it as well, or become a member if you want a little bit more exclusive content. Maguire's goal is a poacher's goal, says Anshesh. Mark Russell wants United to get City. Who do you fancy in the draw? Let us know in those comments. There's the 4 balls on the table because of coronavirus. They're not doing the draw with 2 people conducting the draw. It's just Alan Shearer with Gary Lineker overseeing it. The numbers, although obviously if you're watching this and you're not watching the draw, the numbers will mean nothing to you. Number 1 is Arsenal. Number 2 is Newcastle United or Manchester City. Number 3 is Manchester United, so that's the one we're looking out for. And number 4 is Chelsea. Now, obviously the draw in terms of home and away don't mean much really. It's just whether who gets what dressing room and whatnot. So we'll wait to see what happens there. Obviously, as soon as the first draw is made, we will have that that draw complete, really. So let us know who you want. Manchester United are the first one out the hat. We got Chelsea. United will play Chelsea. So we're playing Chelsea again, which is a little bit frustrating. We always come up against Chelsea. And like I was saying, I get that feeling that they might do us over now because they haven't got a victory against us for a while. But Manchester United will be playing Chelsea in the FA Cup. Arsenal will be playing against Newcastle or Manchester City also in the FA Cup semi-finals. Both games are at Wembley. Nobody will be going to Wembley, Veda, as we can't be attending those games. But Manchester United have got Chelsea, Arsenal have got Newcastle or Manchester City, and at the moment Manchester City are leading 1-0 at half time. So that is the FA Cup draw for you. Get hitting that like button. And when we think of Manchester United against Chelsea, we've got a long heritage against them in the FA Cup, for good, for better and for worse. Obviously you think of the FA Cup final, we lost Mourinho against Conte, with Eden Hazard scoring after Phil Jones obviously conceded a penalty. And you think about that, and that was obviously the last FA Cup final we played against them. The first FA Cup final at the new Wembley, we lost against them, Didier Drogba scoring the goal. But we also have some good memories against them in the FA Cup too. My first memories of an FA Cup final, I know there were FA Cup finals when I was younger that we were involved in, but my first memory of an FA Cup final is in 1994 when Manchester United beat Chelsea 4-0. Eric Cantona scoring 2 penalties in a rainy Wembley that day. So we do have a long and rich heritage against Chelsea. My favourite player of all time, David Beckham, obviously scoring 2 goals, I think it was, at Stamford Bridge and cupping his ears in the goal mouth in a 5-3 win. I think it was a 5th round game at Stamford Bridge. I can't remember the year of that one. Might have been 1997. This is the FA Cup ball as well. So it's still the FA Cup ball for this season. I've got my one signed by a few players from when I went to Carrington. David De Gea, Ander Herrera, Ashley Young, Chris Smalling, Paul Pogba, Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata. There's quite a few. Diogo Dalot, I think, signed it as well. Hopefully those will be the signatures, apart from obviously Ashley Young and Ander Herrera, of players that have won the FA Cup with that football this season. That there is the double P for Paul Pogba. We're going to find out now who's that 4th team and who's playing against Arsenal. Confirmed any moment now. Obviously, remake of the 2018 final. We got to get revenge for that, haven't we? We've got to get revenge. Sammy Yum seriously hoped for Arsenal. Unfortunately, didn't get your wish. That's my first FA Cup memory as well, says Roots Raff. 4-0 versus Chelsea was lucky, then Rashford free kick saved us. Can Ollie do a quadruple on Lampard? Fingers crossed, Ross. But that's what worries me. We've played them so many times. We've beat them a fair few times under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that this will probably be the time where they beat us, and it means a lot. So I really hope the players are up for it. But we've got a different team now as well. We've got the likes of Bruno, Pogba, Rashford, hopefully still fit, Martial. Hopefully we don't get any injuries between now and then. Odion Ighalo. We've got such a talented squad. Obviously Chelsea hitting form. I think they've won their last 5 games, and when you watch them play, they're not that impressive. I don't rate Jody Morris and Frank Lampard that highly, to be totally honest. I'm surprised they gave the job to someone like Frank Lampard. But they're getting results, and they'll be up for it against Manchester United. It's a short trip for them to Wembley, and I'm sure they will be up for it. The games will be played on the 18th or 19th of July, so we've got about 3 or 4 weeks until them games are played. I wanted the Gunners. They are due one from us, says Michael Wine. I imagine if Man City get through, they'll probably beat Arsenal, and it looks like Man City are going through. But if Newcastle get through, Arsenal will be quietly confident in them pulling off the win, won't they? it could, if we get through against Chelsea, it does line up an interesting final. You're looking at Arsenal or Manchester City, potentially a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final. Again, a team that we've beaten a fair few. It's making me worry about this FA Cup run, you know. It's making me worry just a tad little bit. But still, got to have confidence in the boys. And hopefully it will be something that can provide a silver lining to our campaign after we get Champions League football in our belts, under our belts by, you know, finishing 5th or 4th, depending on what happens to Manchester City, obviously, as well. So let us know what you're thinking about the FA Cup draw, Manchester United getting Chelsea. Let us know what you're thinking about all the latest Manchester United news as well. Keep your comments and your thoughts coming in as the FA Cup draw is made. Arsenal will play Newcastle or Manchester City. Man City currently leading 1-0. And of course Chelsea will play Manchester United at Wembley. Man United are the home team, if that means anything to you. Odion Ighalo is only the second player in MUFC's history to score in each of his first 4 competitive starts for the club. The last person to do that, James Hansen in 1925. Thanks to Opta for that stat, and what a great stat it is on Odion Ighalo's start at Manchester United. Andy Mitten wrote something in The Athletic as well, which says Solskjaer is a manager who will criticise his players in private and not publicly. Why should he hammer their potential resale value by doing that? And I think it's just, you know, another point at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's man management skills, and the skills that he has and the way that he works. And I think what he's doing at this moment in time with Manchester United is working really well, and long may it continue. I'm a massive fan of the work he's done so far. I've had my doubts about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I hope that he can prove me wrong and go on and continue to be a success as Manchester United manager. But we need to get Champions League football this season, and hopefully that will come with a trophy as well, whether that's Europa League or the FA Cup. The FA Cup is going to be very difficult. We've got a tricky game against Chelsea in the semi-final, and a final potentially against Arsenal or Manchester City as well, which would of course be difficult if we got there. If we got there, we'd be confident, and we were confident against any of these opponents because the way we have performed in these games under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The bigger game seems to bring the best out of us, and hopefully that will be the case again at Wembley on the 18th or 19th of July. Guys, we've got over 500 people in. We've got 250 likes. Can we hit that 300 mark? Get hitting that like button right now and get your opinions in on the FA Cup draw. Ole can win an FA Cup and Europa League in his first full season. Not too bad, says Adam Wilmot. Do you know when the ballot opens for the semi, says Paul. Absolutely gutted in it. We're missing out on an FA Cup semi-final. Absolutely gutted. Rebecca thinks we can win it, the FA Cup, while Abdul thinks the Europa League is probably the more likely trophy for Manchester United. Rashid's got another super chat. Thank you very much, brother. He says, Adam, as a Man United fan, I can't help it. I want Man City right here, right now. Unfortunately, we will not be getting Manchester City, but we will potentially be getting them in a final if we can dispatch a Frank Lampard's Chelsea, which we've got a pretty decent record against. Let's not lie, we've had a good record against Frank Lampard's Chelsea in the last couple of years. Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well, we've had a decent record against them. So, you know, it bodes well, but that kind of thing worries me. Having such a good record, it worries me, it really does. And it leaves me a little bit fearful going forward and playing against them in this game. So, you know, a little bit of a worry, but fingers crossed we'll be all right. Let me just check that record actually. Man United versus Chelsea, 11v11 is a great website for the records. So there we go. So Chelsea, we've played 186 games against Chelsea overall in history. We've won 81, we've drawn 51, and we've lost 54. Hopefully we'll be winning our 82nd game against them on July the 18th or 19th. Out of our last 6 games against Chelsea, we've won 4, we've drawn 2. So there's been a 2-2, a 2-0 win in the FA Cup in 2019, a 1-1 draw in the Premier League, then a 4-0 win, a 1-2, a 0-2. So under Ole, we've won 4, and drawn 1 against Chelsea. We've got a fantastic record against them. Before that, we obviously had the 2-2 draw where Anthony Martial scored 2 at Stamford Bridge, and Chelsea just before that game beat us in the FA Cup final in May 2018. So, you know, they won the one that mattered in terms of, you know, the game at Wembley. But since then, we've got a very good record against them. We knocked them out of the League Cup. We've done the double over them in the Premier League this season. But now we need to continue. And we need to knock them out of the FA Cup to stand a chance of lifting this old great trophy. I am king. Don't worry, brother. You'll be in for a nice surprise very soon. Right now, I only see us finishing 4th and 1 trophy. I'll let you pick which trophy. I think I know which one we will win. I think we'll win both and get 4th. Leicester look in free fall at the moment, don't they? They look like they could be potentially just falling out of the top 4. They don't look great at the minute. Really wasteful. And Jamie Vardy's just not scoring. And when Jamie Vardy's not scoring, it seems they are not scoring either. So, yeah, there you go. Gotta be Europa, says Callum. Win it for the 14th time, says Ross. I'd love to win it. Are Arsenal the record holders now? Or are we level? Putting the record holders in it. So it'd be great to get our FA Cup record back. That is for sure. We are into our last couple of minutes now on this show, guys. So make sure you're keeping your thoughts coming in. If you want to get your super chats in, or if you want to become a member and get a shout out before we do leave, then do that now. We've got a couple of minutes remaining. Ryan is thinking we'll win it both and win this back on the level with FA Cups. Yeah, I think it is really, you know. I think it is. We very much nearly hit the 300 target as well. Get hitting that like button on the video. We need about 3-4 more to hit the 300 target on the live video. Then I can go. If you do that. I believe and have confidence that we can win both, says Rebecca. Yeah, Arsenal are the record holders. They lead by 1. They've got 14. We have got 13. 3. What the hell am I talking about? We got 3 European Cups. And Arsenal wish they had 14 of them bad boys. They wish they had 1 of them bad boys. They wish they had 0.14 of them bad boys. They ain't got none. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in. Oh, just dropped my remote. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're keeping it locked, you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing, you're subscribing, you're joining. And for now, I have been Adam McKola. I'm going to get out of here. Get your thoughts in on the FA Cup draw. United against Chelsea, Arsenal against City or Newcastle, with City currently winning as it stands, but there's still a little bit of a time to go in that one. It could be a very, very tasty last 4, and it could be a Manchester derby or an all-London derby in the FA Cup final. See you in a bit.